guys, it is February the 28th, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. Happy TGIF to everybody out there whose weekend's about to start. I know you guys are excited about that. What I want to talk about today is basically the hiding of the alcohol and how relieving it is after we get sober and don't have to worry about that anymore. And this is one of those things that I think that basically anybody who has suffered with AUD can relate to. Even if you don't, have a spouse that you're trying to hide it from or something like that. At some point in our drinking, we are hiding our usage from someone. That could be a family member. It could be our employer. It could be law enforcement. It could be anybody. It could be our brother or sister, our cousins, our aunts or our uncles, our grandparents. It could be anybody. But at some point, I think majority of us all have either concealed the fact that we're drinking, or we hide our alcohol. We have stashes. And I'm really going to talk about myself today and just some of the experiences that I've had. With hiding alcohol. And, my situation is that, I've been married now over 20 years, and, my wife didn't like the fact that I drank. She's never liked the fact that I drank. Now, when we were younger, when I was just drinking beer and stuff like that, she didn't like it, but it wasn't as bad of a problem as it was, or it had become when I really started drinking the hard liquor. Because, when I was drinking beer, it would be one of those things where, I had to continue to drink and drink and drink to get to that point to where I started acting like a fool. But when I was drinking liquor, 1 minute I was okay, and the next minute I wasn't. I went from, being able to talk, people could understand me, to the point where people didn't understand what I was talking about. I was completely out of my mind. And it would happen so fast because I drank liquor on an empty stomach. But anyway, like I was saying, today's video I want to just talk about hiding alcohol. And, like I said, how we don't have to worry about that any longer when we get sober. And it really is such a weight off of your back when you don't have to worry about that anymore. It truly is. So I guess I'll start with myself, and I've talked about this so many times, but in my teens and in my 20s, I was a beer drinker, and my beer drinking progressed to a point where it started off with me just having maybe a couple of tall boys after I got off work, and then it got to the point where I was drinking a 12-pack when I got off work, and then it got to the point where I was drinking an 18-pack, and then it got to the point where I was drinking a case of beer in a day, and I was drinking all day. I was waking up in the morning, cracking a beer, and I would drink beer throughout the day, get off of work, and continue to drink beer. And what I ended up doing, because my wife it got to the point my wife, I'd come home from work and all the beers would be poured out. And, I can't tell you guys that feeling that I would get, how upset that I would become. When you walk in the door, and you're expecting to walk in, open up the refrigerator and grab yourself a beer out of there, and that you've got a 12-pack in there. I'd walk in the door and there'd be 12 empty cans in the sink, upside down, and she had poured all of my alcohol out. And, that caused a lot of problems with us because, I've been at work 12, 13 hours and I walk in the door and my beer's gone. And, it wasn't because, I wanted to have a beer when I got home. It was usually because of something that had happened from the night before, because, how drunk I'd gotten. And I always had people over at my house, and who knows what might have happened the night before. There's just no telling. But, like I said, I'd come home from work and all my beer's gone, or the beer's just disappeared. And I would ask, where is my beer? And she'd say, I poured it all out. The cans are in the trash can. You can look. And it would be gone. So, I got to the point where I'm like, well, I'm not going to let this happen anymore. I'm going to start hiding my alcohol so that she can't get rid of it. So I went and purchased a cooler and started putting my beer in my vehicle. When I would leave to go to work in the morning, I would stop by the gas station, pick up a case of beer, and in the parking lot at the gas station at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would be standing outside of my car, taking the beers and placing them in the cooler. And I'm sure people were probably leaving the gas station in the morning with the coffees in their hand, watching me load up my cooler full of beer, going, what is that guy doing over there? But I'd load my cooler up, I'd go to work, and you guys know I was in the restaurant industry, so we always had an ice machine. So I'd get to work, I'd go in there, I'd grab like a 5-gallon bucket, load it up with ice, and I'd walk out of my vehicle. First thing I did when I got to work was I had to ice down my beer. Because if I had to leave to go to the bank, or I had to leave and go get onions because we're out, or a squash, or I need some prosciutto for this, or whatever it is, I always had an excuse I had to leave because I wanted to grab a beer or two while I was gone. I had to make sure that my beers were iced down. My beers always had to be ice cold. So I started driving around with a cooler in the back of my car, loaded up with beer. Well, at some point, I guess my wife, she got smart and figured out that I was probably keeping it in my car, and she went out there one night while I was sleeping and took all the beer out and poured them all out. So, I thought, well, I'm gonna be smarter than that. So we got into an argument because she poured out my beer that time. So I, continued to leave my beer in my vehicle, but I started locking the doors at night, and I would take my keys with me so that she couldn't get in there. Well, of course, all she had to do was wait until I passed out and just get my keys and go unlock my vehicle, and she would just get the stuff out and pour it out again. So it became this game of like cat and mouse, and I was always, the mouse running away, trying to keep her from finding my stash and getting rid of it. And as time went on, we continued to play this game. And I'm not, don't take me wrong, it wasn't a game. I'm just referring to it as that because it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny for me. It wasn't funny for her. I wanted more than anything just to stop drinking, but I couldn't. I didn't know how, and I had tried. But, the thing is that when we're in active addiction, we often don't tell the truth. At least I know I didn't. So, I would tell my wife, yeah, I've stopped. I'm not drinking anymore. And I might have. I might have gotten a couple days of sobriety, but I never told her I relapsed again. So I would try to carry that lie on for as long as I possibly could. And I would not drink in the house. I would drink my beers on the way home from work. And then I would always find reasons to have to go outside. I'd find a reason to go to my shed. I would find a reason to walk out into my garage. I would find a reason to walk down to my neighbor's house. I always had a reason that I had to go ride around for a minute. There was always an excuse or a reason. And, the thing is that eventually I had to stop hiding the alcohol in my car because she kept finding it, and it was becoming a big issue. And not much longer after that, I decided, I'm going to start drinking hard liquor. I got tired of drinking a case of beer and barely getting anywhere where I wanted to be. And, that took a lot of time, too. And you're drinking so much fluid when you're drinking beer like that. So I made the transition over to alcohol. Now, I was still drinking beer, just like I was talking about in yesterday's video. I hydrated with beer. Especially if I was doing yard work or working outside, that's when I drank beer. But when I was done for the day, when it was time to really get busy with it, that's when I got to the liquor. And the liquor made things a whole heck of a lot easier for me to hide. It's a lot easier to conceal. And I think that's one of the reasons that I became so attracted to liquor, is because how easy it is to conceal it. I was talking about this just the other day. I walked around with a water bottle in my hand all the time. And there's a movie, I can't remember what the name of the movie is. All I remember is that it was about like a police officer that had gone like rogue or something, and he was a really bad alcoholic, and he had a water bottle with him everywhere he went. And they don't tell you in the beginning of the movie, they don't actually say this guy is drinking liquor out of this water bottle, but you find out later on in the movie that the guy actually has AUD and has been drinking liquor this whole entire time when you think he's actually drinking water. But that's what I did. I had a water bottle with me everywhere I went. If you saw me out in public, I had a water bottle in my hand. It did not have water in it, but I carried that water bottle with me everywhere. Everywhere I went, there was a water bottle. And, I wanted to make sure that I could take my shots wherever I was. If I walked into Target and, I had to go in there and go get something, I had that little water bottle with me. Sometimes I'd shove it in my back pocket or put it in my jacket pocket, but people thought that I was drinking water, and I wasn't. Now, I couldn't pull that in my home because my wife would have known right away that that's not water, that's liquor. But I would often use other disguises. I've talked about how I went to Disney World and I had a Sprite bottle that was full of vodka. Another thing I used to do as well is that, and I know this doesn't necessarily pertain to me hiding my alcohol, but it does to a certain extent because I was concealing what I was drinking. And, like the other day when I was talking about how I was taking the non-alcoholic beers, pouring those out, and then filling them back up with regular beer. And I would also make mixed drinks and pour those into the beer bottles. Well, my wife never liked the fact that I drank at all, period. But, it wasn't as big of a deal if I was drinking beer. She didn't care for it, but it was a heck of a lot better than the liquor. So what I would do is I would make a mixed drink and I would pour it into my beer bottle, or I would just pour liquor into my beer bottle or my beer can and then put a little bit of a mixer in there. She didn't know what I was doing. And I would be drinking liquor drinks out of my beer bottle. So that was another way that I would conceal it. But like I said, I got to the point where I was basically just drinking liquor. And I could not have it in the house at all. My wife, if I left a liquor bottle sitting on the counter, it disappeared. I can't tell you guys how many times it was my day off and, I didn't have any kids that day. I woke up that morning, started drinking very early, and, I would... And when I started drinking like that, I always passed out early in the day. So let's say I drank until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, got to the point where I was blackout drunk, and then I would pass out and I would leave my liquor bottle sitting beside the bed, or I would leave it sitting on the kitchen counter. And I'd wake up, and when I would wake up, I would realize my wife had been home for quite some time. I would look at, my watch and see what time it was, and I knew right then the liquor's gone. I had forgotten to get it and hide it. I would just leave it sitting on the kitchen counter and forget all about it. And she'd come home and see it, and it, she poured it out immediately. And I understand why. One, she didn't want me to drink it, and two, she didn't want my children seeing that. And I completely understand why she did that, and I'm glad she did. Back then, I wasn't glad she did. I would get really upset when she did so. But, that just got me to the point where I was like, well, I guess I can't have this out. I'm just going to have to disguise it or hide it all the time. And, I became, really good at hiding the alcohol. But the funny thing is that as good as I thought I had become at hiding the alcohol, my wife was even better. And she would find it every single time. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I would always go back to hiding my stuff in the same places. And I don't know if that was because I was intoxicated and I just found it to be easier. And I can't tell you guys how many times. I know I'm jumping all over the place today, but this is something that I know a lot about. But there was often times that I would get drunk and I would hide my bottle, and then I couldn't remember where I put it the next day. Or I'd wake up and I couldn't find my bottle, and I had no idea where I'd put it. This one time, it's just a real quick story. I was driving up this driveway where we live at now, and I had a half a gallon of vodka. It was a, I don't remember the brand that it was, but it was in a plastic half-gallon bottle. And I've told you guys, I moved over to the plastic bottles because my hands shook so bad in the morning that I dropped multiple liquor bottles and they hit the floor and shattered. So I started buying the plastic half gallons because I didn't have to worry about them breaking. And this one day I was pulling up the driveway. I had a brand new half gallon of whatever kind of vodka it was. And when I got right here to the top of my driveway, you can't see the cars in the driveway until you get right here. There's a little curve that you turn. And right when I got to the crest of the driveway, I saw my wife's car was home. And she wasn't supposed to be home that early. And I was like, I can't have this in my car. because she might walk out here and look or whatever. So I took that plastic bottle and I chunked it out the window right here, right up here. I threw it into the woods and I said, I'll go back and get that later on. I remember getting home that day, something happened. I never had the opportunity to get back out there to look for it. Well, the next day was like a Friday. The next day was a Saturday, and it was tax season, so my wife had to go to work. And I'll never forget, I spent the whole entire day out there looking for that bottle. I never found it. And I just tossed it into the woods. I don't know if somebody's dog came and got it, or one of the kids that lives over there got it. I don't know, but I never found that bottle. I never did. I continued to look for that bottle for months, and every single time that it was one of my days off and I was like, broke, I didn't have any money to go buy alcohol that day, I felt horrible, I didn't even want to drive, I would go out there in the woods and look and look and look. I chopped down like little saplings and all kinds of stuff, just trying to figure out where that bottle was, and still to this day I have no idea where it is. I never found it. But that's what I would do. I would get home and I'd run off into the woods and go behind a pine tree and put a liquor bottle back behind the pine tree and cover it up with pine needles. Or I would take my liquor bottle, and a lot of times I did my hiding in advance, with the notion that I was going to be looking for it at a later date. And I needed it to be somewhere convenient to where if my wife was home, I could go I guess the best way to put this is I would put a bottle of vodka in the back of the toilet, the day before, knowing that my wife was going to be home that Saturday. And, this is the mind of an addict, too. You're always pre-planning, trying to find these loopholes and things like that. And that's what I would do. I'm already figuring, okay, my wife's going to be home tomorrow. It's Saturday, but I'm home right now. Let me go ahead and get a little liquor bottle or a mason jar, fill it up with liquor, and I'm going to stash it in the back of the toilet bowl where the water fills up. I would take the lid off, put the liquor back there, and I would hide it. So that the next day, when my wife was home, I could say, I need to go pee real quick, or I need to go use the bathroom. And I'd go in there, be very quiet, lift that little ceramic toilet lid off, get that bottle out, take a couple shots, put it right back, put the lid on, wash my hands, flush the toilet like I went to the bathroom, and then come back out. I also did stuff like I would take a Listerine bottle and, pour out the Listerine. It's crazy that I'm thinking about this stuff right now, the extent that I would go to conceal the fact that I was drinking. And I did this a lot too. I would take my Listerine bottle, pour out the Listerine, or I had an empty bottle. And then I would take my vodka and I'd pour it in there. And then I'd take green food dye and put like one drop in there and shake it up. It looked just like Listerine. And guys, please don't take this video as I'm doing this to help people hide alcohol. I'm doing this because I'm just talking about the extent that I would go to in order to conceal the fact that I was drinking. It just shows how my mind worked during that period of time, and the lengths that I would go in order to conceal it, the lengths that I would go just so I could protect my ability to get intoxicated, because I had to. Like I said, so I would hide it in the back of the toilet, go in there and take shots. I had so many bottles in the jacket pockets of my jackets that are hanging in the closet. So, the inside little pocket on the inside, I'd stash a pint bottle in there. And the thing is, too, is that on any given day, I probably had 10, 15 different hiding places that had liquor in them. So, and I did this because I knew that if my wife found one of them, well, that's no big loss, because I've got 11 or 12 more bottles stashed all over these different places. So if she found one, no big deal. I've got more hidden, because I had to make sure that I had backups everywhere. Because if it was one of those days, I was home for the weekend, I was with my family, I knew I couldn't leave to go to the liquor store, if I didn't have my booze, I was going to go into withdrawal, and I didn't want to get sick. So I had to make sure that I had my stuff stashed everywhere. It was a lot easier for me to drink when I had to go to work, because I was gone for the whole entire day, you know, and I could drink before I went to work. I could drink while I was at work, and then I could drink after work. I'd park on the side of the road. I'd go sit in the Walmart parking lot. I'd sit at the gas station parking lot and drink until I got to the point where I felt good enough, and then I'd come home. There were a lot of days where I'd just park at the end of my driveway and sit there with all the lights off, drinking in the dark. I did that so many times. But back to the hiding the alcohol part, you know, like I said, I was hiding in the back of the toilet. I hid it in my jacket pockets in my closet. I would hide it at the top of the closet. I would get empty boxes that had stuff in them and stash liquor bottles in there. I'd go out into the woods, and I would find a pine tree and pull the pine needles back and stick it right there. I would go dig holes in the ground. I'm not kidding you. I would go out in the woods, I would dig a hole, I would put my liquor bottle in a trash bag, put it in the ground, cover it back up with dirt, put pine needles over top of it, and stick a stick in the ground to remind me of where I'd hidden my bottle at. There was always alcohol hidden in my vehicles, under the spare tire, you know, underneath the seat. You name it inside the vehicle. I've even hid alcohol underneath the hood of the vehicle, right where the battery is. There's like a little gap right there between the battery and the wall of the car, and I would stash stuff in there. I've hidden it everywhere inside of the house. There was a place in between the couch cushions in our living room that I would stuff it down in the couch cushions. And my wife found that out. How she found it one day, I think that she could tell that the couch cushions had been pushed apart. She stuck her hand down there and found it. And guess what I did? I kept hiding it in that same place over and over and over again. And she would go in there every single time and find it. Every time. The top of our cabinets in our kitchen, because my wife's really short. She can't see that high. So I would just take my liquor bottles and just chunk them up there on top of the kitchen cabinets. And I thought I was being slick, but I didn't know that my wife, all she had to do was just grab a chair or either grab the little kitchen stool, and she'd climb up and look and find them. I'd go up there to get my bottle, and they'd be gone every single time. Mini bottles were a lot easier to hide, but you know, you can only get so many in one place. But underneath of the kitchen, underneath of the bathroom sink. When you open up your cabinet underneath the bathroom sink, if you look up, you know, there's a whole bunch of little spots up underneath where the sink sits that you could shove a bottle up in, especially back where the knobs are, where the water goes in for the spigot on the sink. All those little spots where those hoses and plumbing and all that stuff's going up, you could slide a pint or, you know, like a liter or something up in there. And if you jammed it up in there just right, it wouldn't fall down. I would shove stuff up in there. Hide stuff in toilet paper rolls up underneath the sink or in the bathroom closet. Definitely between towels. So, you know, if you open up the bathroom closet and there was a stack of bath towels inside of there, I would, you know, count down 3 or 4 bath towels, pick them up, and then slide the bottle in between them, and leave them there. In between bed sheets in the closet, I would hide bottles inside of there. I would hide bottles up underneath of my bed. You know, on my side of the bed, I would stash bottles up underneath. My wife always found bottles underneath of the bed. That was one of the first places she'd look, because she knew how I would get intoxicated, and I'd leave the bottle right beside me. And there were a lot of days, you know, I'd hear the door open, and it's, you know, 6:30 at night, and she would startle me and wake me up, and I'd have to grab my bottle and throw it up underneath the bed, and then I'd forget about it, and then she'd go look underneath there and find it every single time. I had alcohol in so many different places. I would take like a soda, and I'd pour it out, and then pour my liquor in there, and then put that in the refrigerator like it was soda, and come back, and I'd grab that soda and drink it. I even got to the point where one time I took a Sprite bottle that was empty. I'd already drank the Sprite out of it, but I took the Sprite bottle and I poured half Sprite, half liquor, put the plastic cap back on it, and took a soldering iron and melted the plastic back around on the seal. So it looked like it was completely sealed. Now, I didn't do a very good job, but it was sealed. And when I went to open it, I cracked it, and it made that sound just about. It wasn't the same, but it sounded close enough to where my wife thought that I was just opening up a brand new soda, so she didn't question me at all. But a majority of the time, if my wife saw me grab something out of the fridge, she would pick it up and smell it and see what it was. I carried a flask around on me everywhere I went that always had alcohol in it. I would keep it in my backpack or in my vehicle, or I'd have it in my back pocket. I've talked about this, but I used to get those little, they're like a 2-ounce fireball shooter, or a 3-ounce. It's the little double shooter. But I would take those, and after I would drink them, I'd hit them up with soap and water, wash them out really, really well. You can never truly get that cinnamon smell out of those bottles, I can tell you that. Because every time I'd take a shot of it, the liquor would taste like cinnamon. But I would wash those out, fill them back up with vodka, and I did this every morning before I left to go to work. I would fill up those little shooters, and then I would take those and put them in my socks, or either in my pockets or my jacket pocket or wherever I could stash them on my person, and I would carry them around with me. I'd have them on me when I was at work. I'd have them on me if I went to the store. I had them on me if I went to my in-laws, or I went to my parents' house and I had to go to the bathroom, and I'd go into the bathroom, crack that little thing, take a shot, wash my mouth out with a little water or something, or throw a mint in, and then walk right back out. It was just a constant game of cat and mouse of me trying to hide my alcohol. And, like I said, I don't have to worry about that any longer. And if you've gotten sober, you don't have to worry about that any longer either. And it's just so much better not having to worry about that anymore. The freedom that you feel when you're not constantly obsessing over the alcohol and where is it, and trying to set yourself up for a later date. Because I know that there's other people out there who have done all the same things that I have, especially since I've started this channel and spoke to so many people. Find out that I was not the only one that drank in that manner. And I can tell you, it has made me feel better about myself knowing that I'm not the only one. And I know that it helps other people to know that as well, is that there's a lot of us who have done the same thing. I thought for sure, for years, that I was the only person on this planet Earth that drank the way that I did. I thought that for sure that I was the only one. And after doing this channel, I found out there are so many other people just like me, just like you. We're all so alike. It really is mind-blowing, speaking to the amount of people that I have to find out in the crazy little things that I would do. Like I was just talking about, like washing out the little liquor bottles and filling them back up and sticking them in my socks. I've spoken to so many other people that have done the same types of things. There are so many different ways that I would conceal my consumption or hide my alcohol. I've done it all, and I've talked about this too, but for Christmas one year, I was given these little sleeves that go over top of a 12-ounce can. And they would look like, you can get them in all kinds of different stuff. You can get Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper or Mountain Dew. I had Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, and one other. I don't remember what it was, but I had like 3 different ones. And I could take a beer can and I could slide that sleeve right over top of it. I could walk around Walmart with a beer in my hand and no one would know what I was doing. It looked that real. Because it basically was a real soda can. Jay had just removed the top and the bottom of it. Some of them were made out of I had one that was made out of like a rubber plastic material, and that one still looked legit. You wouldn't know unless you actually picked it up and you went, this isn't real. But if you saw me walking around the park or something, you thought I was drinking a Coke. And I went everywhere with those things. I kept them in my vehicle. And I've always kept a backpack on me wherever I go. There's always been a backpack that I keep with me in my car that I keep my random stuff in, pens and pencils and notepads and whatever else I needed for work. It was something I just kept with me everywhere I went. And I would keep one of those in there because I never knew when I might want to have a beer, and I didn't want people to know what I was doing. Every night when I got off work, you better know that I had a mixed drink in my hand as I walked around the kitchen talking with my guys, or I had a beer with one of those sleeves slid over the top of it. People just thought I was drinking soda. I wasn't. I would take a Red Bull and drink half the Red Bull, and then I'd go out to my vehicle, take my liquor, and I'd fill it the rest of the way up with vodka, put my thumb over the top of the can, swirl it around a little bit, and then I'd walk around with a Red Bull can in my hand. People thought I was drinking Red Bull, but it was half vodka. Just crazy stuff. And the amount of stuff that I looked into buying too, because I wanted to conceal it. They make hairbrushes with little places that you can pour alcohol in, and fake cell phones that are flasks. These little bladders that you can put on your stomach to carry alcohol around, or slide down in your pants. It's just like a little plastic bladder, like I said, like a little plastic container, but it's flexible and it doesn't break, and you can tape it to your stomach or slide down your pants or whatever. All these different little options that are out there online that I looked into to buying so that I could conceal my consumption or take alcohol with me wherever I went, because I did not go anywhere without my alcohol with me. Absolutely nowhere. If it didn't have booze, I didn't go. And if I could bring my booze with me, I would. But I had to have a way to bring it in with me. But like I said, I've hidden alcohol in my shoes, in my closet. There would be mini bottles in the bottom of my shoes, in my dresser drawers, in between my clothes, in the pockets of my clothes. If you can think of it, I probably hid alcohol there. And the air conditioning vent that's on the floor, I would pull that up, slide a bottle down up in there, and push it all the way back so where you couldn't see it, and then put the vent back on. Or I'd do that in the ceiling. I mean, as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, it's just more and more places keep popping up. I had a bottle hidden on my front porch up underneath of my ferns inside of a pot. There's bricks in the bottom of the pot to lift the fern pot up. So there's a gap about this big inside that pot. And I would put a pint inside of there. No one ever is going to look in there. And when I needed it, I just lifted that up, grabbed that pint out, and then I would drink it. And for me to go out in the woods and dig a hole and bury my alcohol and put a stick in the ground, I mean, that just goes to show the amount, the length that I was willing to go to hide my alcohol so it wouldn't be found. Because I had to have it. Had to. And my anxiety levels were so bad, especially after a super hard night of drinking, which would often happen. If I had one day off that week, let's say I was off on Monday, Sunday night, I went so hard. I did not want to have to leave on Monday because I knew my anxiety was going to be through the roof getting behind the wheel. So I would stock up so that I had just enough to be able to drink all day Monday and enough for my Tuesday morning when I had to return to work. It's just crazy to think about. And like I said, once we get sober, we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff anymore. We don't have to worry about hiding, lying, anything. We can be completely honest with ourselves and with everyone else. Because at the end of the day, we're not lying to anybody but us, ourselves. We really are. At the end of the day, too, and really quick, is that when we're in active addiction, it doesn't just affect us. It affects everyone else around us. It affects our children, our spouses, our families, the community as a whole. It affects everybody. Our addictions do not just affect us. And, we need to take that into account and think about that. When you start thinking, you start getting that thought in your head, think about how that decision might affect somebody else too. How bad is it going to hurt this other person's feelings that's in your life that you promised that you weren't going to do this again to? Because I know for myself, I made so many promises and broke every single one of us. I can't believe that anybody trusts a word that comes out of my mouth to this day. I really can't. I'm so blessed that I have each and every single one of you here that will listen to me and let me tell my stories. And I know you guys know that I am telling the truth now. But anyway, guys, like I said, it's so freeing to know that we don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's just another reason to stay sober for today. Why go back to that again? Why go back to that whole cat and mouse game all over again? The constant hiding of the bottles. You don't want to have to do that anymore, you know? And for more than anything else, the amount of money that you save when you don't drink anymore is just mind-blowing. Take that money and treat yourself to something nice this weekend. Go out there and buy yourself something. Get that new pair of jeans you've been wanting, or that pair of shoes you've been eyeing. Get that new baseball cap, or that pair of sunglasses, or that new watch, whatever it is. Do the calculations. Figure how much you would have spent drinking this past week, and go buy yourself something this weekend. Take your spouse out to dinner, or take your kids out to dinner, or take your friend out to dinner. Do something nice for yourself. Treat yourself, because you deserve it. You guys are all doing so great out there, and I'm so proud of each and every single one of you. I really, really am. So, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really quick before I get off of here, and I'm going to put these names up on the screen. Don't forget that I did start a Buy Me a Coffee this week. There's been a good bit of traction on there, and I can't thank you guys enough for all the donations I've received. You guys know how much I enjoy coffee. I drink coffee all the time. I'm drinking coffee right now, and it's 1:37 in the afternoon. It's all I drink, pretty much, and water. Ginger ale occasionally, but coffee's my main beverage. But like I said, thank you so much for all the donations this week. And if you feel so inclined and you'd like to donate and help support the channel, I'll put the link up here. Just hop on there. You can donate any amount of money you want. If you want to donate $1, $20, whatever it is, you can put it in. If you do not feel comfortable with me putting up your name, please just do an anonymous donation. Otherwise, if you put your name on there, I am going to at least give you a little recognition for your donation, and just a way for me to say thank you. I'm going to read off your name real quick at the end of each video and throw your names up on the screen. I'm going to do it daily, like I was talking about yesterday, but I just feel like it's important. I at least want to show my appreciation and at least throw your name up on the screen and at least thank you, by reading your names off. So really quick before I get off of here, I did say I was going to just recognize the people from Buy Me a Coffee, but I did want to just go ahead and recognize everybody else who's donated to the channel this week as well. So I've gotten 2 donations through Cash App. There is a Cash App option as well that's in the description. Connor K, thank you so much for the donation, and Jonathan M. N. Thank you so much, guys. Super thanks this week. Rick Farrell, 9688, thank you so much. Magical Girl, 1960. Lichen, 11. Ank Jacobs, 4649. And Gareth Ruddy, 4902. Thank you so much for the super thanks this week, guys. I really do appreciate it. And then last but not least, and like I said, I'm going to put your names up here on the screen too, but the Buy Me a Coffee guys, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to everybody. But Catherine M., Anonymous, Honest Mickey, Carolee M., Josh C., James D., Kathy T., Eric W., Powell K., Nick, Sheldy81, Micro866, Linda W., Someone, Hugh, Todd C., Vic A., Liberty, and Lynn D. Guys, thank you so much for the donations. I really do appreciate it. I really, truly do. And from the bottom of my heart and from my family, thank you so much, guys, because you're not just helping support the channel and myself, but you're also helping support my family as well, and I really do appreciate it. like I said, one more time, if you feel like you want to throw a couple dollars my way and donate to the Buy Me a Coffee and help support my coffee habit, which is a heck of a lot better than alcohol. And coffee is great for the liver, guys. Really, really good for your liver. I'll put the link up right here, like I said, and that's the Buy Me a Coffee link. I think it's LD2023, I think is the username. But like I said, it'll be up here, and the name will be in the description as well. So if you want to look for Buy Me a Coffee, just go to the description. The link for the Cash App and the Buy Me a Coffee will be there too. So if you don't catch it in the video, it'll be right there. But anyway, guys, thank you so much again. I really do appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. By the way, before I get off of here, I think I'm going to be doing my live either tomorrow or Sunday. I know my oldest son is supposed to be having a sleepover over here tonight, and depending on what those guys want to get into tomorrow, I'll have to see. But I will let you guys know if I do decide to do a live tomorrow. I will post up a reminder so you guys can see that, and you can go ahead and sign up for it. But if I don't do it tomorrow, I'll do it Sunday afternoon. It'll be later in the afternoon. I like to do it while my wife goes out to take care of her animals and feed them for the night. So it'll probably be like 4:30, 5 o'clock on Friday before I do the live. If I do it on Sunday. Probably leaning more towards Sunday evening to do it. So it'll be about 5 o'clock. But I might do it tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll let you guys know. If I decide to do it on Sunday, I'll let you guys know in tomorrow's video. If you see a link up or the reminder on YouTube, then I'll be doing it tomorrow. So I'll be keeping you guys posted on that. Thank you so much for watching today. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then.